Ian for the Metal God Meltdown, and today I'm joined by
Tag. I'm from The Treatment. Tagore or Tag, whatever one you want to call me, or Turdy, as some of my bandmates like to call me. So whatever you want to call me. But yeah, we are. I am one of the members of The Treatment, and I think we're going to be talking about things treatment today.
We will be, definitely. We're going to be talking about the fantastic new album. It's been out a short while. How pleased are you then with the responses so far from media and fans?
Honestly, it's still kind of it's such a strange thing with an album, because for us, it only came out on Friday. Well, for for everyone, but for us, we started working on it. Oh Jesus, it was April last year we recorded it.
Right.
So if you can imagine, and that was the recording process. So the song ideas and everything like that, they'd been around for us now for nearly, like, some of them nearly 2 years.
Wow.
And an album's a very strange thing. It takes a long time to get all the parts with it. We recorded it live, which was really, really great, and that was a huge step forward. But then, you take those live tracks, and then the vocals get done. You do some small overdubs, and then after that is the artwork, and then it all gets sent off to do its 3, 4, 5 month cycle and build up to it. You've got the videos to film. So although it's very, very fresh, it's also kind of, they've been around for a while now. But hearing the album in its entirety, it came out on Friday, and I got into bed and I just listened to it, and it's just amazing. Like, sometimes you sit back and you go, wow, I love it. Obviously I'm minorly biased, but
same, mate. Honestly, I mean, I listened to your last album from before, and I've seen you on tour with Wasp a long time ago now.
Yes.
And yeah, this album, I think this is possibly your best album to date, definitely.
Absolutely. Like, I think the title "Let's Wake Up the Neighbourhood," it came very last minute, and I just think it's so appropriate at the moment. There's a lot of bands trying to do very political things, and I think that's awesome. That it's great, but The Treatment's not really about that. We're a rock and roll party band. We're just kind of, listen, come down, have a good time. We're not here to change your mind on certain things. We're here to give you an experience where you walk away and you just go, fucking hell, I want to forget the world for a few hours and just rock and roll. And that was really the kind of thought behind this album. There's a lot of deeper meanings to some of the songs. And I think with this record, the songs really are songs. And we kind of showcased, we did the album launch on Saturday, and The Treatment don't normally play acoustic. It's very much something we don't do. And we thought, we'll try something new, and we broke some of the songs down acoustically, and it was just amazing to see how well they translated. And I think that's the real sign of a great song, of when you remove your 5 Marshalls each side and your loud guitars, and you actually strip it back to essentially what is just the chords and the very basic music. And it was just magic. It was a really special moment, and it's something that I hope we do a lot more of, because it was very magic.
Yeah, I saw you done an acoustic show. That's quite interesting. I mean, is that something you may consider in the future, doing like a best of sort of The Treatment acoustically?
I don't know. It's not really been kind of on the cards. We did back in the early days of the band, we did 1 or 2 acoustic shows, and they'd be kind of like, we did one for Napster, and we did one for iTunes when it first came out, and they were just kind of small little things we did. And then we didn't do anything for ages until we played, I think it was Road Rage Festival in Sheffield. And they wanted us to do a VIP bit for an acoustic show for the VIP bit. And we thought, we'll give it a shot. And it went down really well. And then Laurie, our manager, so he just said, look, let's do something really cool for the album launch, and do another acoustic show. And again, it went down so well. So I think it's something really on our cards, and maybe we can tie it in with meet and greets later down the line, instead of standing there looking like idiots just signing something. Let's actually do something real and play an acoustic show. I think it'd be really cool.
It would, man. I mean, what I love about it, I mean, obviously I get loads of albums sent through daily. What I love about the album is, like you say in one of the songs, with the lyrics, like songs you can sing along to, which is so important. And that's like you go into the song back to the 70s. That's what you've done. You've kept it through back to the 70s, haven't you? Even down to the amazing video. Fantastic. I love that video. Looked like a lot of fun.
It was honestly, we had so much fun doing the two videos. So the first two, obviously, Let's Wake Up This Town and Back to the 1970s, they were filmed days apart. So we kind of did a huge house party, which we just thought, well, how appropriate. I mean, like, we're going to call it Let's Wake Up the Neighbourhood. Let's just fucking throw a party, show what it's all about. You know, we had our kind of mascot. He's called Yeti, who is the angry neighbour in it. And he's featured quite a lot of bits throughout the kind of career of the band. And we thought it was so appropriate, you know, to have that angry neighbour coming round. By the end of it, he's just in the middle rocking out. And then, you know, with 1970s, just kind of throwing back some classic homage. You know, I mean, Lol's, obviously, he's got a huge part with that song because that was an era that he came up from. Yeah. And so, you know, he put in loads of ideas and just brought like kind of parts of history that, you know, I wasn't even born for yet, you know, and in the lyrics there were a lot of kind of little throwbacks to, you know, that I think a lot of people may not notice until you delve into it. But across the board on this album there was some really, I think there was another song we did, Don't Make No Difference, right? Obviously, you know, there's a huge movements going on at the moment, and that was very much a song that it was just like, look, we don't really care what you look like, what you dress like, who you think you are. Doesn't matter to us, just come and have a good time. You know, and that was a real kind of just throw out to what's going on at the moment of like, whatever you feel comfortable with and whatever makes you happy doesn't make a difference to us. You know, it doesn't make a difference to me. Just come and rock out. You know, it was kind of a real powerful meaning in that song, I thought.
Absolutely, man. I've seen you live. I've actually seen you live a few times. I can't remember the other time. I would have had too many beers. Remember the Wasp show? I saw you up in Glasgow. It was fantastic. It was really good. I thought you were better than Wasp. I remember that quite well. Yeah. Anyway,
I can't comment on that one, but I'll say thank
you. So, like I say, you guys have always sort of stuck to the formula, 100%. And it's always been the same with your releases. Have you ever sort of like thought of going down the even growlier side of metal rock music? Is that something you've ever?
I think so. There's a lot of different influences within the band, but I think the important thing is to kind of, when you decide what you are, what you want to be, and what works, and then when you found that, you know, stick to it. Although the treatment very much, we are a band that does like crossing into different genres, and you'll always find on each record there are a few slight kind of genre changes, especially on Generation Me. There was quite a lot. You know, obviously, Let It Begin, the single was very much rock. You had stuff like Bloodsucker. You had Backseat Heartbeat that were very, like, two worlds apart of songs. And we do like to try and creatively, like, push the boundaries a bit. And I think on this record, there's, you know, some very different kind of styles. You've got, if you put, you know, When Thunder and Lightning Strikes up against I Can't Wait, they're two hugely different songs. But I think the thing we have realised is, we played When Thunder and Lightning Strikes, which again is a very huge chunky riff, and that heavier side of the treatment I think is somewhere we want to explore a little bit more. And it's definitely like we don't tie ourselves in it. It's what, you know, what feels good, what comes out.
Yeah, brilliant. Keep going back to the 70s. I love that song, man. I mean, really, my era was the 80s. I do remember the 70s a bit, but my sort of like, when I got into metal and rock music was the 80s there. But I like get all the things that you're saying in that song. If you could go back in time, you get in a time machine now, and you could go back on stage and share a stage with any of the bands from the 70s, which would you choose?
So, I mean, for me, my pure love through and through is AC/DC. For me, it was the first thing that changed my life, was when I saw Angus. I was like, you know, and I only saw him on TV. I had Donington. It was live. I think it was 91, and that just changed me forever. I was like, what? And then looking back through their kind of past back catalogue, you know, that was when I realised, you know, the original singer Bon, and that then was just like, whoa, what is this ball of energy? So I would love to go back and share a stage with AC/DC, but I think if I was to go back to the 70s to be on stage with Bowie, I think that would be an amazing. He's not like one of my top like musician icons, but I think for what he did for music, and I think in terms of experience a performance, that, or maybe, you know, Pink Floyd, I just think they're kind of shows that you would walk away from and they'd be life-changing.
Absolutely, yeah. I can agree with you with AC/DC, sort of, that was like 1981, 82, Bon Scott. Highway to Hell, I think that was one of my first albums. It's fantastic. So yeah, I totally
See,
agree.
again, it's great, but for me, if you go slightly early, like Power Age is one of my favorite albums. I feel like those first few records, the energy and the rawness that they would have had, you know, that still being part, you know, Aussie pub band and not quite breaking into much, you know, theatres. Yeah, I think it would have just been incredible.
Yeah, that's right. Because I actually read an interview where you've said about Power Age and you still listen to it quite a lot, don't you?
Absolutely, honestly, it's, for me, it's just one of the greatest. It's my record when I just need, you know, a bit of cheering up or something. That's the record that goes on, and it's just like, for me, it's something that will never be replaced. I cannot hear it for a year, put it on, and I'll still know every little note knocking around. You know,
It's such a character. Honestly, she does this. Right. So with so many classic tunes on the new album, I guess it's going to be really, really hard to choose a set list. Have you even thought that up yet?
We struggled hugely on the album release. So the songs that went in were "Let's Wake Up This Town."
Yeah.
We had Back to the 1970s. We put in "When Thunder and Lightning Strikes," and we also did "This Fire Still Burns." And then in the acoustic show, we did "I Can't Wait" and "Got My Mind Made Up."
Right.
And so there was a good selection of a lot, but I think there's like a lot of people seem to have picked up on "Man on a High Wire." And I think that's one that will probably need to go in as well. But it's so hard, you know, I love every song on that record. I think, you know, there's "Fire Me Up," I think, is another massive song, you know.
I think "Man on a High Wire"
very hard to
it's difficult,
I think that is definitely something that's going to go in live.
Real.
But, you know, we're a band now with, you know, God, it's like 6 records, so it's hard to pick with such a huge back catalogue of, you know, not just playing the new ones, but keeping fan favourites, and, you know, those old riffs are still classic.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So then, can you tell us a little bit about tour and festival dates? Have you got anything lined up? Bloodstock.
Yes. So we just announced Dead Daisies, which we're going to be doing in September.
Wow.
Throughout all of summer, we're doing lots of different festival appearances. I know we've got Nozfest. We have one in Manchester. Is it Firestorm? I think we're doing.
Right.
And then we're doing Love Rocks as well. And then kind of spread out all across Europe, we're doing quite a lot of German festivals as well. We've got one in Belgium, one in France. So that's kind of keeping us throughout summer. And then, as far as I know, that's where we've got to, but we'll definitely be looking at putting together a headline tour as well. But then the dates we've kind of got up and running. It's quite hard because I don't tend to know exactly where we're going. It just kind of comes in and you're like, right, you're going here and there, and that's it. It's kind of when you're in a band, you don't actually know. You just know I'm busy, and that's kind of what comes up.
Fair enough. I can understand that, man. So, I mean, like you said, but 6 hours down the road, you would have been on tour loads, you played and supported many iconic bands. How do you stay energized? I mean, are you still like party animals on a night after a show? Or are you more chilled out these days? Chamomile tea? What do you guys like?
I think so. The treatment, obviously, we're a party band.
Yeah.
But we've always had a very, very, very strong rule of the music comes first.
Yeah.
And so when we're on tour, you know, look, everyone, we're all young lads, we want to enjoy ourselves, but at the end of the day, if it gets in the way of you playing a show, we've always been very disciplined in that sense. So in actual, like, when we're really on the road, there's not a great deal of partying that goes on. And you'll find that the new age of rock and roll it's not easy, man. Like, when you're sleeping in vans, sleeping in hotels, you're traveling, you know, 5-10 hours between show to show. But when we do have a reason to party, like, you know, when we released the album on Friday, well, it was Saturday after the show. I mean, we started a party and we didn't finish until about 24 hours later. So when we want to party, we know exactly how to. But I think as well, you know, for us, it was the partying's been a byproduct of it. And That is something that I think is really important in rock and roll. Is you've got to remember what's the most important thing, and that's the music and the fans.
Exactly.
And given a good show, that's what matters.
Yeah.
And you learn when you're in a band that you can't. I always describe it as like being in a band, having like 5 girlfriends.
Yeah.
Having 1 girlfriend's, it's hard work. Having 2's very hard work. And then when you tie all of that, and then you're traveling day to day together, and you throw in hangovers as well.
Yeah.
It gets very hard. So you gotta, you need to make your pick. And I think for all of us, it was always that music was the most important thing.
Absolutely.
I love tinkering away on a guitar. Like, that's what matters to me.
Mm.
But so I wouldn't say we've chilled out. I just think we've always been a little bit more on the chilled side. And, my hat goes off to bands who can do it. If you can party every day and make it happen, then you've definitely got some ingredient that I don't have. But sometimes you need to just know your limits,
Yeah, absolutely. So while you've been out on the road, then what's the weirdest thing, most bizarre thing actually you've discovered about each other?
What the most weird thing I've discovered about
Your bandmates?
Oh Christ! I think there was when we were in America with Kiss and Motley Crue, and our singer at the time, he had a phobia of clowns, and we got 2 strippers to dress as clowns for his 21st birthday, and I've never seen someone go so ghostly white while staring at 2 half-naked ladies. It was quite a bizarre experience, but that was quite funny. But weird things about bandmates, oh God, like we're all quite weird, I think we all have our quirkiness. I think that there was one time when we caught a flight to Denmark, and I remember someone wore their aeroplane socks for about 5 days, and I've never actually smelled someone smell so violently, like, aggressive. And it was just like, it got to the point that we burnt his socks because you no longer handle them. But like, you get all the the smells and things, and like, I mean, listen, I've got stories for days of weird things that we've done on tour. Look, we're young lads at the end of the day, and we want to live every moment of life the best we can, but how PG they are, probably not PG enough to be on this show.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, and so then can you tell us what's been one of the most weirdest venues you've ever played?
Weirdest places?
Yeah.
Yes. Do you know what? All right. Okay. Again, we've played some very bizarre places, but the one that really comes to mind was we played in just outside of Moscow.
Right.
And so first of all, it was a total disaster getting there. We flew to, it was Munich, and then Munich on to Moscow, and the equipment obviously at Munich wasn't transferred from flight to flight. Right. So we landed in Moscow airport, and they don't really have a grasp on people speaking English there. So we're waiting, for the equipment to come through, and after about an hour and a half, we realised that it's not coming. So we can try and explain, how do you explain to someone who doesn't talk English what a guitar case looks like? It's impossible. And they're bringing up pictures of like golf bags, and the manual comes. There's not even a computer where they're typing in. It's just like they open a book and they're like, it doesn't look like this. And they're pointing at like golf bags and what's that. And I'm like, no, it's a guitar. And they have no idea. So after a few hours, and we were actually really lucky that a fan happened to be waiting at the airport to grab a signature from us, who spoke Russian and English, and we used them as a translator. Well, I mean, honestly, I was like, thank God. So we've then figured out, and they go away and they do some research, and they're like, okay, your equipment's currently in Switzerland. Okay, all right. When's it going to arrive here? It'll be here in 4 days. I'm like, well, the show's tomorrow. Well, there's nothing we can do about it. Okay. And I don't know about you, if you've ever argued with a Russian, you learn pretty quickly.
My girlfriend's Ukrainian. She's in the other room. But she's from Kharkiv, which is by the Russian border. So she speaks a lot of Russian, and I'm agreeing. I'm agreeing in my head everything you say. It's like hard work.
So you know exactly what I'm talking about. So when someone tells you it's going to be 4 days, well, it'll be 4 days then. So okay, so we're already off to a pretty bad start. We then get to this where we were staying, and the accommodation was kind of like a Butlins, but it was 70 years ago with armed guards all around. It was really, really strange. strange.
Right.
So that's the first kind of thing. The food there was this. I'm all about trying different foods. It was quite bizarre, but cool. And we get to the show, and it's just this mixture of hardcore rock and rollers just drinking neat vodka. Everywhere you went was just vodka, vodka, vodka. Like, honestly, I couldn't even ask for a bottle of water. It was a bottle of vodka. No, bottle of water. Bottle of vodka. Okay, fine. All right, whatever. And we get on stage, and we'd borrowed all sorts of like guitars from some bands, like amps from here, there. I remember we didn't even have a tuner when we went on stage.
Wow.
We literally just tuned by ear, and it was the most punk rock and roll show ever. And yeah, we just played to this. It was like maybe I think it was a bar. It was some sort of arena, and I must have. I mean, it was set up for about 10,000 people, and obviously there weren't 10,000 people there. There was probably a couple of hundred people there. It was just very bizarre. And then yeah, of course we finally get the equipment back 2 days after the show. We go to fly back, and when we were switching around in Munich, I remember we were walking along the bypass and we could see our guitars out on a conveyor belt.
Never.
And they hadn't even been transferred on the flight going back to Gatwick. And I remember looking at Dan, and we nearly had a nervous breakdown. It was high up there with one of the, like, you can't make up this realism of what it was like, but it was an experience nonetheless. And I'm so glad we did it. You know,
sounds pretty mad, but yeah, I understand the communication problems. All right. Next one then. Let's go back to the album. Are you going to be releasing any more videos? Have we got anything else filmed?
Sorry, say again, bud.
I don't know why the reception doesn't seem to be very good, does it? Have you got any more videos to be released from the album?
So at the moment, no. The last video we did was When Thunder and Lightning Strikes, which that one, again, we were meant to film it in Rock City on the Buck Cherry tour, but the show didn't go ahead. So it was a very, very last minute one. We ended up filming in a great little venue called Queen's Hall in Nuneaton.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
But we really want to do another video, so it's definitely something that's not off the cards. But at the moment, just with the touring schedule and how much we've been playing, it's been hard to fit in. But it's definitely not off the cards. Brilliant.
Right. If there was a hard rock song about yourself, like a made-up hard rock song, what would it be called?
Hard rock song about myself. God. There's a great AC/DC song called Down Payment Blues. Just about a guy having not a lot of money. There's holes in his shoes, but he don't care because he's got the down payment blues. To me, that was always just something that fitted. And whether I'm someone who makes millions of pounds or not, I'll probably still always have worn out shoes, dirty jeans, and a bad haircut. It's just how I like to live life.
Fair enough. All right. So then can you give us 4 words then to describe the treatment?
Okay. Fun, energetic, good time, rock. That's a few more.
That's fine. I love it. Okay.
I'll say 5.
It's 5. 5 was good, mate. 5 was good. I'm going to ask you this actually. If you were trapped in a room for a day, which famous musician would you have with you? Dead or alive?
I would take. Do you know what? I think Frank Zappa. I think he'd be an absolute lunatic in a room. But I'd love to pick his brain.
All right. So that's like 5 fast questions. So try not to think too much about it. So the first one is your favorite album. I think I know this.
Favorite album's Power Age, I'm afraid.
I know. I should have cut that one out. Favorite food.
Favorite food?
Yeah.
Proper American hamburger.
Cool. Favorite festival.
Glastonbury.
Really? Okay, that's different. Okay, it's cool. Favorite drink.
Rum and Coke.
And your favorite inspiration.
Incense.
Okay. Love it. All right, mate. I want to thank you so much for your time. Do you have any final words for your fans, our viewers, and listeners?
Absolutely. Honestly, you know, we say it all the time, but it comes from the heart of without people supporting us, checking out the record, whether you buy it, share it, just listen, just thank you. You know, without you guys, it doesn't allow us to do what we want to do and create fucking awesome music. So thank you.
All those bands across the land, giving us a lesson in love. They are old songs we can sing.